Hoping for the best, preparing for the worst. Wildfires in Arizona.
We are looking at the potential for wildfires here this summer. We have the fuels, we'll have the weather conditions, and it will become progressively drier and hotter.
A yearly threat, how state and federal agencies ready for what has become the inevitable.
Fire is, always has been, and always will be part of southwestern ecosystems. And it's really in our interest to learn to adapt to fire.
The desert climate creating a virtual tinderbox. This is Arizona Week. Arizona's dry desert climate is prone to wildfires. The deadliest season yet just last year. 19 men from the Granite Mountain Hotshot crew killed when met by a wall of flames near the city of Prescott. A painful reminder of a wildfire's destruction. Michelle Fidler from the National Park Service, thank you for being here today. There's a campaign that's being launched this year that hopes to maybe impact the fire season that we've seen. Talk about that.
So what we're trying to let people know is one less spark means one less wildfire. And what that's really about is just emphasizing that wildfire prevention is everyone's responsibility. And so whether you're driving a vehicle down the road, there's lots of things that can cause a fire that you might not automatically think of. But recognize that dragging chains along the highway can cause a spark, or dragging your chains along the highway can cause a spark. When you're driving down the road, if your tire has a blowout and the rims are driving on the pavement, that can cause a spark. A common thing, people like to pull over and park on the side of the road, but if you pull into the tall, dry grass, your hot catalytic converter can ignite a wildfire as well. So those are all considerations to keep in mind when using vehicles safely.
A lot of people are surprised to think that something as small as a cigarette butt, that one spark can really start a catastrophe.
Right, cigarettes, anything that you're using in the outdoors, anything that can cause a spark, whether it's a campfire. We always emphasize that you stir, drown, and repeat. Make sure that it's cold to the touch, that you actually put your hand on those coals and make sure that it's completely out before you ever leave it unattended.
From the National Park Service perspective, if someone is found to be responsible for starting a fire on public lands, what are some of the things that person can expect to find if authorities then trace it back to them?
Folks can be held accountable, and so there can be monetary fines, as well as nobody wants to have that responsibility and have that on them. And so the best thing you can do is to be cautious when you're in the outdoors. Just think ahead, practice leave no trace principles. If you are using a cigarette, always pack out that cigarette butt so you're not contributing the litter, and it's also preventing that wildfire from ever having a chance to get started.
You've been on those front lines of fighting these fires. Can you talk a little bit about what your experience has been out there and knowing that this is more than just seeing those images on the news of the wildfire burning in the mountains or the homes being destroyed, but for you who's been there?
Wildfire really knows no boundaries, and that's the one thing that we see, and it has the potential to burn anywhere in Arizona. We live in the wildland-urban interface where the natural areas bump up against where our homes and communities are. And so everyone needs to be part of that solution, and understanding living with fire is something that we deal with here. And so we need to be prepared for it. We need to try to create fire-adapted communities so that we're prepared for these wildfires when they do burn through areas. Ways that you can do that, incorporating fire-wise principles around your house. And that would involve clearing brush, thinning trees, just removing any combustible materials, pine needles from your roof, leaves that could build up on your deck, things like that, keeping it lean and green in your yard. The actions that you take now on a weekend project this time of year when it's nice out can really make a difference and help protect your home, your community, and our firefighters when a wildfire may be approaching.
In Arizona, we saw a devastating wildfire season last year with the deaths of 19 men and the hotshot crew. Are there other things that you want people to know about what we've seen and what we can learn from those, from what happened?
I think the key thing to recognize is firefighter and public safety is our #1 priority. And so it's really important to take action now and do those things, create defensible space, work with your neighbors and community to kind of create that fire-wise community and that fire-adapted community so that we're all better prepared going into this season.
These are the Huachuca Mountains near the city of Sierra Vista. In 2011, the Monument Fire burned over 29,000 acres, destroying dozens of homes and businesses. And as you're about to hear, the fire also damaged Our Lady of the Sierra Shrine, but it did not singe the spirit of this church. Jean Muntz, a member of the board of directors here at Our Lady of the Sierra Shrine, just outside of Sierra Vista. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, and I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you. Let's go back to about 1998 when this chapel opened to the public. What is really the story behind this beautiful place?
Yes, well, the story is an interesting one. In 1987, the founders, I'll call them the founders for now, a husband and wife came out here to visit some relatives, and while they were hiking around in the area, they stumbled across the for sale sign and some weeds and what have you, and looking around, they noticed the gorgeous view down in the San Pedro Valley and then north to into the Huachucas. And then that was 1987. 1988, they actually came back and bought a parcel, 8 acres, to build their future retirement home. And then in 1990, they had a calling to go on a religious experience in Medjugorje, Yugoslavia. And they didn't necessarily experience an epiphany there, but they were kind of taken by a particular view of a valley there that resembled this area quite a lot. And so they were standing by this big stone cross. Then they came back and started building the home in 1990, and it was completed in 1991. At the tail end of that building process, the husband thought it would be wonderful to be able to have a cross up here, about 20-foot cross, facing the San Pedro Valley. And so that was the beginning process of this journey. And then his wife thought it would be very important, in her mind, to have a statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary with her right hand extended toward the cross and towards Mexico. In 1993, then, they started the process of building these two statues. In the meantime, they had, of course, run across a company in Tucson that was capable of building structures of this size out of stucco and fiberglass and steel. And so in 1993, as I said, they started building those two items. Then from then until 1997, there was a terrible time for them trying to get through legal processes and the permits from the county to actually build these facilities here. Finally, in 1997, they got over all those hurdles and it was started, and it was completed in 1998, a year later.
Wow. There was some concern being in this mountain range of wildfires, and in '97 there was in fact a wildfire that spared this shrine.
True statement.
Talk about some of the concerns watching those flames nearby and not knowing what would happen.
Yes, well, it was a big concern. I personally was in a car down at the fire station here watching that fire come over the mountain and up down into the valley. And I personally thought that maybe the chapel would not survive, but miraculously it did, and it went around the chapel and spared it entirely. So we kind of thought that this was a sign, if you will.
Then comes 2011.
Then comes 2011, the big fire, the Monument Fire, which was much bigger and much hotter. And the Monument Fire came over the hill as well, and then it sort of stopped and backed off, and we thought once again this whole area would be spared, but then the winds changed and it came roaring through here and just took almost everything out with it, including the chapel and everything in it.
You yourself were evacuated from your home, and like many of the founders, the board of directors, all watching to see what would happen. What was running through your mind?
Well, you know, what was running through our mind was why. There's always a question about why does it happen here and not there, and this fire was one of those where it took some areas, took some homes, took some facilities, and spared other ones. And personally, I just wondered why. What was behind all this? And there's no answer, of course, to that.
The Stations of the Cross, what happened to those?
The Stations of the Cross were all burned down except one. And as you can see when you look out there, they've all been replaced again. The one that was remaining was used to make very small crosses that you could put around your neck. And so those have been a big hit with people.
The decision was made to rebuild this chapel.
Yes.
Why?
There was never a doubt. It was a calling. We think that God wanted us to rebuild it. There was no question in our mind. So almost immediately we began the process of preparing to rebuild the chapel again. It goes with the whole scene. When you rebuild the facility here, that's a sign of hope. When you see the trees that had burned down to the ground and we had to cut them down, and then there's new growth coming up out of the bottom, that's the same sign. It's a sign of, in our opinion, God at work, and it's hope. It's the future. And some of us won't be around to be able to enjoy those oak trees when they're grown back, but a lot of people will. And we would love to have small children come up here, youngsters, and visit the area and just be inspired by it.
Should this happen again? Will there be another discussion about what the future looks like here?
There probably will be, but I doubt if there'll be any question about whether we rebuild or not. We think it's a calling and it's a requirement that we have this chapel here. It's a hope. We see it as a hope. And when the chapel was finished and we were able to light up the cross and the Madonna again up here at the nighttime, it was like a huge beacon of hope came back on again. So yes, we'd probably do it again.
When you look into the mountain range, you see the Madonna next to the cross, and you can't help but be taken, regardless of what your faith might be. What does this place really mean to you and to the board?
It means it's a place where people can come and pray and be in a quiet area and have hope about the future. It's just a place we would like to have people come and visit and feel comfortable. Like you said, regardless of their faith, please come up and see it. It's an inspiration. It's got a gorgeous view, as you can see, of the San Pedro Valley, and a beautiful view of the mountains to the north, which are snow-capped in the winter sometimes. And it's just something we hope people will come up and enjoy and have an experience.
Arizona is home to 6 national forests, the Coronado National Forest among them. In recent years, devastating wildfires have destroyed hundreds of thousands of acres. Lessons learned, but can the Forest Service really ever prepare for a firestorm? Heidi Schewel from the Coronado National Forest Service, thanks for being here.
You bet.
Let's talk about what this year's fire season looked like. And I should be clear that it's not so much a fire season because we're always in the fire season here.
We're always in fire season 12 months out of the year on the Coronado National Forest, but what we're looking at this spring and summer is above normal potential for large wildfires. This is due to several factors that can work into this, and one is we're in an ongoing drought. That's not going to change anytime soon. We have had 2 dry winters in a row back to back, so a lot of the fuels are becoming progressively more dry. Now, some parts of the state received good precipitation from the monsoon this past summer. So over a lot of the Coronado at the lower and mid elevations, there are a lot of grassy, brushy fuels that grew as a result of the rains. No winter rains, so those have started to dry out and cure out. So they've become pretty flammable at this point already. Now, what we're anticipating for weather is kind of pulses of what we're seeing today, hot, dry, and windy. And then little systems will try to come through and bring cooler temperatures, higher relative humidities, and maybe precipitation, maybe not. Those cooler systems will bring us very short-term relief from the heating and the drying, and then back into the hot and dry, and the wind really complicates things. So we are looking at the potential for wildfires here this summer. We have the fuels, we'll have the weather conditions, and it will become progressively drier and hotter, and so then we'll see how things shape up.
What is the Forest Service doing, if anything, differently to prepare for this season?
Well, we're where we are every year. We've got all of our firefighters on, our seasonals and our permanent positions are all filled. We've got all of our engines staffed. We have 10 engines across the forest, 10 fire engines. And we're bringing our contract helicopters on. We should have 3 on the forest by April 7th. The first one is coming in today. And then we have the Libby Air Tanker Base in Fort Huachuca, which will be ready to open the doors at any time to service air tankers filling with retardant and dropping on fires. And so we're pretty much where we need to be. We have also a Type 2 initial attack hand crew, which is 20 people, that they're all trained up and qualified and ready to go. So we're pretty much on course. We're actually responding to an incident right now. So we are ready to respond to incidents. When we go to suppress fires, we'll use closest forces. We'll also engage local and volunteer fire departments, and we do what's called initial attack, try to put the fire out. Now, if we need more resources, such as more aircraft or more firefighters or bulldozers or who knows what, we can then order those, and they'll be dispatched through our dispatch office. So we have different options, different resources available to us.
This year is like any others, but it seems like the Forest Service is much more prepared than ever before. Is that a fair statement?
Well, we always try to be prepared, and part of that is because of our year-round fire season. Part of that is because, you know, on the Coronado, we are not a contiguous forest of open space. We are 5 ranger districts that are in proximity to cities and towns and a lot of human values at risk. So we really have the resources in place that we think we need to protect those values at risk.
It sounds like it'll be a challenging summer ahead. Looking forward, is there anything that you want to put out to the public? I mean, that reminder about being smart while you're out in public lands.
Yeah, I would remind people to take personal responsibility. I mean, if a lightning fire starts, that's one thing, but most of our fires are human caused on the Coronado, and so they need an ignition source. And I would hope that really nobody would want to be that ignition source. I mean, the fuel's there, the dry conditions are there, the heat's going to be there, so everything's lined up. All it needs is something to start that fire, and we would encourage people to think about what you're doing. Try to make sure that you're not the one that starts that fire. Never, never leave a campfire unattended for any amount of time for any reason. And then be careful in day-to-day activities. Mowing your lawn. Lawnmower blade can strike a rock and start a fire. Recreational shooting, bullets can ricochet. There are just any number of things that can start fires. So that's what we really are hoping that people will really be thinking about when they're doing these activities when we're in the hotter time of the year.
This is more than just about wildfires. This is about personal safety for the men and women who work on these fires.
Firefighter and public safety is always going to be the first objective on any fire. I think those are the most important ones. We could remind people that fireworks are always prohibited on all public lands. I think the really important thing, though, that I would hope everybody would remember is that personal responsibility. You know, a lot of people use our public lands because they love them, they care about them, they get all kinds of different benefits from being out there. And I don't think, you know, anybody would want to be the one responsible for denying that experience to a lot of other people. So it's just really important for everybody to just know what you're doing and be really careful out there and help keep these lands enjoyable for all of us.
Wildfires have ravaged hundreds of square miles throughout the state of Arizona. In some areas, you can still see remnants of a fire, but in others, regrowth. As you're about to learn, the vegetation, the landscape can in fact survive and then flourish. Don Faulk from the School of Natural Resources and the Environment here at the University of Arizona. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Let's talk about what happens after a wildfire.
Right. So the TV cameras are gone, the newspapers are no longer covering the fire. What's happening out there in the watershed? Well, things are basically recovering. And in some cases, if the fire has burned very severely, then that recovery can be very, very slow. It can take decades or even centuries. In other cases, the recovery is very quick, and within a couple of years, you have almost the same plant community that you had before the fire. And so it's really important to understand why these different outcomes happen.
How is it possible to go out to an area where there was a fire, maybe a year later, there's some greenery, and then there's still ash?
Right. So the first thing to remember in our southwestern ecosystems is that fire is part of the evolutionary environment of these ecosystems for hundreds of thousands of years. And so all the organisms that we see, the wildlife and the vegetation, they're all adapted to responding to fire in one way or the other. So in a way, it shouldn't be too surprising to us that the ecosystems start to bounce back. They have that capacity.
What about animals? A lot of people wonder what happens to the wildlife that's out there.
It's understandable. Since the era of Bambi and Smokey Bear, we just assumed that wildfire is an unmitigated disaster for wildlife. In fact, The actual mortality of animals, even during a wildfire, is relatively low. Animals that can burrow, can go underground, if they get more than a few inches below ground, they're protected from the heat. Big animals like elk and bison can run away, birds can fly away. And so when we actually study the mortality of wildlife during most wildfires, it's really not a major problem. And in fact, many wildlife benefit because right after the fire, you often have a flush of new growth. The grasses and shrubs really bounce back. And those early post-fire environments can be very productive and provide great forage for lots of wildlife.
We've seen the Monument Fire, the Yarnell Fire, where people lose their homes and their businesses. But then there are those folks who lose their property because of that aftermath, the rain coming down and bringing down the ash into these lower levels. What exactly takes place when that happens?
So this is a really interesting aspect of the wildfire situation in the West that is really only beginning to be appreciated now. We had the Waldo Canyon fire in Colorado last year. There have been multiple other fires, the Schultz fire in Flagstaff, where it was not so much the fire itself, or not only the fire itself, but what we call the post-fire hydrologic response, where you have a big high-severity fire and then a strong monsoon. And you would think a strong monsoon would be a good thing because it would help the ecosystem to recover. And that's true, but in areas on steep slopes that have been severely burned, you get enormous washing down of sediment and debris and very high peak flows in the streams, and all of a sudden you have a 1,000-year flood happening after a fairly normal rainfall. So this post-fire hydrologic response, what it means is that there are now communities at risk from not so much the fire itself, but from the flooding that can happen after a fire.
There are some people who have a hard time believing that communities can actually survive and then flourish after a fire. How would you explain that to people who sit back and wonder, wow, how did that happen?
So the plant communities have this capacity to recover because there are so many different strategies for surviving disturbance. So some plants can resprout. Oaks and many grasses will just bounce right back up, and in fact they're favored. Aspen, which we all love, is a post-fire regenerating species. It waits for fire, and when there's an opening that's created in the forest, aspen will actually come up, and that's its moment in the sun, literally. Many wildlife have an increased food resource after fires, and many tree species will go through a period of time when they're not present, but they'll start to put seeds back into the ecosystem. And so there are many, many different pathways for an ecosystem to recover. And the key thing really is what we call severity. That is, how strong was the impact of the fire at the time that it happened. If the fire is low severity, which means that most of the trees or shrubs that were there before the fire survive, then almost certainly within a very short amount of time, just usually a couple of years, you'll bounce back right to the kind of plant community you had beforehand. If most of the trees and shrubs are killed, as happens in what we call a high severity fire, then you may lose forest entirely. You may convert from a forested area to a shrubland and not come back. And in fact, in big areas of the Catalinas right here outside of Tucson, we've seen large areas that burned in the bullock and aspen fires about a decade ago. And so far, they're not coming back as forest. They've converted to shrubland.
Some people might be listening to this and think, it sounds like sometimes a fire can be a positive thing for the ecosystem. Is that a far stretch?
No, it's not a stretch at all. In fact, it seems paradoxical because to us, fire is like a disease or a hurricane. You would say, well, there's absolutely nothing good about that. But the fact is, fire has been part of ecosystems on Earth for at least 400 million years, which is to say almost as long as plants have been living on land. We have evidence of fire. It's a very, very natural, fundamental process, and it's involved in the recycling of nutrients. In plant evolution, there are many ways that plant communities and all life on Earth have been touched by fire. It's really only in the last couple of decades that we've come to appreciate how ubiquitous fire is. We thought it was just something that was restricted to certain areas and under certain special circumstances. But we see evidence of fire in the tropics and in the boreal forests, the great boreal forests in Eurasia and Canada. Almost everywhere we look, we see evidence of fire going back as far as we can see into the pollen and the tree ring record.
Is Arizona more susceptible to sustaining wildfires than other states just because of the terrain here?
Well, so there's a question of vulnerability now, and it's a very good question. What makes certain areas more vulnerable? But let's ask specifically vulnerable to a kind of type-changing, like a game-changing fire, because all areas throughout the West have fire. The question is, what kinds of fire would really eliminate forest and cause a conversion to shrub or grassland, and we have a big change. Well, so we have in the Sky Islands steep topography, very complex geology, and we're arid to semi-arid. And so, for example, this year we had a very poor winter rainfall, and that means that a lot of plants are already drought stressed, and when they're in that condition, then they're more able to carry fire quickly, and so you have the recipe for carrying a big fire. I think the important thing is to recognize that fire always has been, and always will be part of southwestern ecosystems. And it's really in our interest to learn to adapt to fire. The more we try to push it out and exclude it, eventually it comes back and bites us 10 times as hard. So we'd be better off learning how to manage our land use and our development and our own human communities so that we can live with fire sustainably.
And that completes our wildfire coverage. From the Huachuca Mountains, I'm Lorraine Rivera. We'll send it back to the studio for The Buzz with my colleague, Christopher Conover.
The buzz this week at the Arizona Capitol was the continuing showdown over the state budget. The Senate took up the House budget, stripped out many of the additions the House put in, and sent it back. Not surprisingly, the House did not agree, and an impasse began. Quiet backroom talks were held, but at the end of the week it was obvious the impasse was deep. When the House finished its final floor session on Thursday, House Speaker Andy Tobin appointed himself, Budget Chair John Kavanaugh, and Democrat Eric Meyer to a conference committee to hash out a budget plan with the Senate. Moments later, the Senate wrapped up its work for the week, but Senate President Andy Biggs did not appoint a budget conference committee. Officially, that means there will be no talks over the weekend. In reality, the fact that the House appointed a committee and the Senate did not means informal talks between the chambers are not yielding many spending agreements. Senate President Biggs is indicating he's not terribly willing to negotiate some of the points until House leaders show him they have the votes to pass their proposals. Complicating the back and forth in the legislature is the governor. She's repeatedly indicated she doesn't like the Senate budget plan and would veto it. She also told lawmakers this week the budget is a priority and she'll veto any bill they send to her if it arrives before the budget. And that's the buzz for this week. We've also reached the end of this episode of Arizona Week. For Lorraine Rivera and the entire Arizona Week team, I'm Christopher Conover. Thanks for joining us.